Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day today. All right, just double checking some stuff there. Oh, we're still, of course, just kind of waiting on some members of our panel to show up. So I hope everybody's been having a good weekend thus far. I know it is Super Bowl Sunday, but I hope we'll get some people in here soon to get the conversation going. Well, as always, guys, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more people in here. Check out the show. Um, also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. Um, let me see. Let me see if I can go stir up some of my panelists here. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got some. Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Yeah, just waiting for people to show up.
Yeah. How are
Yeah,
you tonight?
all right. Would like it if more people were here, but I
Yeah.
guess if you can, like if you have a moment, Rick, if you can like and share the stream to see if we can get some more
Yeah.
people in the audience here,
Yeah.
that'd be appreciated as well. Yeah, I know with it being Super Bowl Sunday, it might be a bit more difficult. But it might just be you
Yeah,
and
might be a
I hope,
bit
I hope
slow.
not. I mean, I like talking to you and stuff like that, but I'm hoping we can get at least a couple more people in here to get things going.
Yeah.
How was your
Wait.
weekend?
Not good. Good, but not good.
Good, but not good. What's that supposed to mean?
For the most part, it was good, but Saturday morning, I found out a friend of 30 years died.
I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Hmm. Had he been ill? Had they been ill, or was
Yeah, a little bit off and on for about the last year or so. Um,
uh,
I seen them. We've seen them at church, and he made some things to church. Some days he was at church, some days he wasn't over the last year.
hmm.
And well, he I guess he hadn't been contacting his family in a little bit, and so they got
Hmm.
worried about him. And he lived in the Y here in Hamilton, and I guess police found him Friday morning or Friday sometime. Maybe not morning, but
Oh, his family lost contact with him, and they called his local police to do a welfare check. I take it.
yeah, wellness check.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he's usually on Facebook or stuff like that. So
but he just kind of dropped. Okay, first off, just so I know, is it a he or a she?
he,
Okay,
yeah,
I want to make
yeah, yeah,
absolutely sure I'm not misgendering them or anything like
yeah.
that.
But yeah, no, no, no. Normally he's on Facebook, posts, and does stuff like that, to his friends and family. But I guess he hadn't done it in a little bit that they noticed, a
Mhm.
few days, maybe a week or something like that. I don't know exactly the timing, so they started getting concerned. And, you know, then Friday sometime, the police went by and found him dead. Well, I believe they found him dead, anyways. I don't know. I have all the details.
Well, if they just discovered him Friday morning, chances are they probably aren't going to make any major announcements as to the cause until
Yeah,
until the coroner's probably had a chance to examine him
yeah,
to do an
yeah. We
autopsy.
don't. Yeah, we don't know what's happening, and something.
Well, I did ask her, and you did say that he had been sick for a while, so he had been
Yeah,
so.
and he hadn't been eating properly either. So,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, the family isn't going to have a funeral. They're just going to have a get together. So he had lots and lots of friends, which is a bit of a slap in the face to them, And I half get it too because like about a month ago, um, depending on which family member you are, Gore, the man that died, his brother had died. His younger brother had died like about a month before that.
Hmm.
But
Well, the cost
well,
aspect of it, but were there issues with his family? Because you're saying if
not
he.
not 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 to my knowledge. Not
Hmm.
he got along good with most of his family, if not all of his family.
Hmm.
Um, but luckily, we both went to the same church, and my church is going to do something, for friends and all that to come celebrate his life. And he was a believer as well, so we got that. That I'm going to see him again one day.
It, does he have like a burial spot? Well, I know if he was a pretty young, I don't know if he, I don't know what his preparations might have been, but if
No, he was on disability. I don't think he had any preparations. He was 57. He was going to be 58 in April.
okay, all right, well, that's kind of a sad thing for you, my friend.
Yeah,
But then if you just had, I guess for the family though, if they just had his younger brother die, and they had to, do a lot of funeral expenses for him, I could see why they wouldn't want to do a funeral expense,
yeah,
doing that, But I'm sure that there's still going to be like burial costs and all that to take into
yeah.
consideration, unless
Depending on what they do.
unless they plan on cremating him or something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're gonna do. You know.
Hmm. But you said your church was going to probably
Yeah,
do something.
we both went. Me and him both went to the same church at this
Hmm.
point. Um, so I was talking to them today, and we're gonna set up some sort of celebration of life. Memorial, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That his friends can come unite. Like I said, celebrate
Essentially,
us.
so his church family can get together and
Well,
and
his church family and all his friends that he knew throughout the city, because not everybody that is going to come to that will be from our church. Some will be from other churches. Some probably don't go to church at all. I don't know
uh,
where everybody stands.
uh,
It's just there's going to be something that a lot of us can go to like I said, celebrate his life, sort of say goodbye.
uh,
Uh,
I'm gonna see if I can stir some more people here because obviously I was hoping Tim might show up so he can give his his impressions of what we were reading through last Thursday.
Yeah, I never made it by on Friday. Sorry.
No problem. Well,
But how's your weekend been?
pretty. I mean, Friday I went and got well. Let's see. Friday I went and did my laundry at the laundromat, and then got some new shoes. As you can tell, I got a new haircut too this past week.
Yeah.
Um,
You got in a fight with a lawnmower and lost?
I fought the law and the law won. I
No,
fought
not
the
law.
law, the law
Not
won.
no, not the law. A lawnmower.
Yeah, I know, but just the song.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, anyway, that was really on. Um, Yeah, so I basically sent out the invites earlier to everybody, including George is here. So I guess RJ did send you the link then, George, huh?
No, I found the link on Pornhub.
Anyway. Ever the sarcastic, huh, there, George?
Hey, what are you doing? Are you doing? You're doing. What's it? Apocalypse Now. What do you call gag? Marlon Brando.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the way you rub your hand over your head.
I do that quite a bit.
Yeah, Marlon Brando did that a lot.
Yeah. Pardon me for a moment. I'm going to put some more light on it here. I'm going to go off camera for a quick moment, guys. But so why don't you guys talk amongst yourselves for a sec here while I'm gone?
Talk.
I'm George.
Talk.
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 All right, I'm back now. Well, I thought I'd muted too, but I guess I didn't. But at least we don't have another shot of me mooning you guys like we did that one time. You remember that, George?
No, I don't know what you're saying. I have no idea what you're talking about. I disavow.
Okay.
We saw the moon,
Right.
but
Well,
we
anyway,
did not see stars.
We got 3 people. We got 3 people here. So as I've asked before, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if for those in the chat, if anything grabs your attention here, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So with 3 of us here now, why don't we go ahead and go around the table here? As it were, what you guys want to introduce yourselves and talk about any? And as always, and George, I think I gave you a wrench too. If you wanted to share any, we'll start with Rick and then George. If you guys want to introduce yourselves and basically plug your projects, plug your channels, share links, go for it. So we'll start with Rick.
Well, I am Rick Piper of Cross Comics, as sort of probably people can get by my tag and being called Rick. Well, maybe they couldn't get the Piper part, but I do my own comics, Christian comics, and I'm on YouTube and Twitter and almost all social media. So go find me.
In fact, you've got your linchpin up for us as we're seeing on your screen there now, huh?
Yeah, the Canadian Shield.
All right, and as I said, if you want to share your link, Rick, so that everybody can, get to it. Share the link to your channel or your Well, I don't know if it's still a case where you're still.
Yeah, mine's still in demand at the moment. My latest campaign.
What site are you on?
Indiegogo.
We got something to talk about with them this week. We'll get to that in a moment here. You may have heard, but we'll get to that in a moment. George, you want to introduce us to yourself and talk about your channel, any projects you're?
Yeah. I want to share some. I want to share some links.
Ha ha ha!
Those were hot links.
Yeah. You know what I meant by links, George. You sarcastic individual, you. And of course, here is Rick's link to
my TikTok.
His TikTok. You guys want to go check that out? All right. Well, let's see, George. You have a nightly news show as well, don't you?
Yeah, and nothing really to write home about.
Uh, is this your way of being humble, George?
Huh? No,
Is this
no, no,
your,
no, no, no. No, just trying to stay away from the YouTube algorithm.
uh, okay. And who is, if you want to, for those who may not know, you like to tell us who the avatar here is that you're using?
Well, yeah, it's a snapshot of me coming out of the shower. I didn't comb my hair. It's the wet look.
I thought it was your own creation, Joe King.
No, 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 no. That's what everyone That's the propaganda that we're feeding everybody.
Okay. Whatever, George. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, why don't we get into some neat news? It's funny how Rick, you were talking about how you're on Indiegogo because there was a bit of a big story this past week. I don't know as much about it because I didn't see too much on it yet. I haven't seen like any articles or anything like that, but I did hear a little bit about it. Maybe you guys heard about it too.
Not me.
You guys know who Doc Blaylock is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now Graham, he's still on sign up, and guess what happened to him? Having to do
Shadow
with
banned.
Indiegogo. No, yeah, he didn't get banned. Well, okay, he did get banned, but not banned. He got shadow banned.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. He got shadow banned. Yeah. While still in pre-order, mind you. I know some people commented
Um,
on.
how did the only question is, I've been in pre-order a few times. How does he know he's being shadow banned? Because I've put my link out there and all that. People have been able to sign up, and not usually
Well,
too many people
I
sign up
guess
from Indiegogo.
yeah, as I've understood, because I haven't actually heard too much about it. I haven't heard anybody talk too much about it, but
Yeah, yeah.
as
Well, you're
and
probably not going
I haven't
to
seen any
because
news articles on it either. But apparently, if you go to Indiegogo and you try to search for his book, which is called Pariah Blood and Mud, um, apparently you can't find it through their search engine for some reason. Um,
uh,
at least that's from what I understand, or at least what the scuttlebutt was. Um, if you already have the link to it, then you could probably just go straight to it. But if you go to Indiegogo and put in Pariah Blood and Mud, it won't come up. It won't come up in the search engine. So that's as much as I know about it. I haven't actually.
yeah, I'm checking it out right now. Oh, I don't seem to find it, but I'm not sure where it should be. I just searched blood and mud, so
Well, I think the name of the book is Pariah Blood and Mud. P
yeah,
A R I
I'm not sure how. Okay, you were gonna spell pariah for me. P R
P
I
A P A R I A H, I believe.
P
P
P
A R
R R
I
P
A
A
H.
A R I A H.
Blood and Mud.
Uh, that's too trending. Uh, uh, well, the thing is, I did this search launching soon. Okay, yeah, that's. I guess you could say that, especially when you search it and just launching soon. Uh, yeah, so that would sort of confirm things, when I search pariah, blood and mud, and don't find anything, even when I just go.
Well, now I just looked on Yahoo here. Now in Yahoo, apparently, if you go on to Yahoo, it'll come up, but so Indigo, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's not trending. And the thing is, he's still in he's still in like signups. He's not even,
Yeah.
he hasn't even released the book yet. But again, I just slightly missed his live stream on it, so I don't know all the details. I haven't heard anything more about it. So I just thought if you guys heard something, RJ probably heard something, could probably have given us more information, but RJ's obviously not here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I typed Canadian Shield in, and my for campaigns come up right away. So
yeah,
even under trending. So
yeah, okay.
which is, yeah, definitely not good. You know, that's just stupid because, doing this shadow banning, it makes them less money.
Yeah.
Hey, Melvin.
They're not. I don't think they care if they make like a few dollars out of the billions of dollars that they already make.
That
Yeah.
might be true. Although they can't say people like Vicky can't say that it's because a violation of terms of service when the campaign hasn't launched.
Yeah.
We're talking about like Pariah Blood and Mud and Blood. What's it? Blood and Mud.
Blood and I believe it's Pariah Blood and Mud. That's what we're.
Yeah, I mean he still had it in sign up. So what terms of service did he violate? That probably none. I mean.
Yeah, and if he violated terms of service, it should be shut down, not just shadow banned.
Well, I mean, kind of hard when you haven't launched a campaign and you're just,
Yeah. If you have.
Well, yeah, he hasn't launched a campaign. He has done some promotional work for the book, and I don't know if you guys. And his trailer has been on RJ's channel before, and there is the one trailer where you do the girl. The girl is like lying naked on the ground. So
is that the reason?
Huh?
Is that the only reason why it's quote unquote shadow banned?
Might be. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, none of us know why it would be shadow banned for sure, but we can take our guesses.
Which of you is keeping score? I have no idea. Terry, I sent you the link, so if you want to come in and join us, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. And yeah, I can get that they might not care about, the little bit of money that they are gonna might make, but there's the thing: if they don't shadow ban it, they don't know how much money they are going to make, because this might be what people want, and maybe make $1 million. I doubt it, but
Well, I mean that was the whole thing. Why Fund My Comic was why they were trying to build up Fund My Comic, because there are issues. Okay, so there were.
Wait, have you ever?
There have been issues with both Indiegogo and Kickstarter doing stuff like this.
Have you ever considered maybe the shadow banned is because of quality control?
How so?
Maybe they thought the book was terrible.
Maybe, but is that up for them to decide, or is it
right?
Usually, it would be by the backers. If the backers thought it was bad after they backed it the first time, that'd be one thing. But I don't think it's up for.
This is the first issue, anyways.
The norm is that people usually make judgment on the product before it gets shipped out. So maybe that's what Indiegogo's doing the same thing.
But I mean, is it up for a platform
What is there
or
to see at this point to make the judgment? What's up on the pre-launch page?
Yeah, I mean,
There's not much to make a real judgment on something like
Well,
that.
exactly. Ethan's books were prejudged before his stuff came out.
that's an interesting
Yeah.
point there.
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Well,
it
I
was
mean,
mainly
yeah, but
prejudged
okay,
by
but the
not
difference. Let
the
me make
platform.
this point on that, George. The difference though between Ethan and Doc, Ethan's got more of a profile. Ethan, even by trademarking the name Comicsgate, for example, he's basically has come out as the face of Comicsgate. So his profile is a lot bigger than Doc. You know,
Yeah.
if you in the internet community here, if you were to ask people within the internet community and the commentary and streaming circles here who Ethan Van Sciver is, those of us in the comic circle would probably know. But when it comes to
Ew.
Doc, there may not be as many people who might not know Doc as much as Ethan. So that's why
what you said,
because they heard Comicsgate. So now,
well,
granted,
what you said, it bears no relevance to the point that Ethan gets judged before his stuff gets shipped. Doc gets judged before his stuff gets shipped.
Yeah, but
I
Ethan is
think
usually
it's a little
being
harder to
judged
make the
by.
argument with Doc because the point I was making is that yes, Ethan gets prejudged because he's the face of Comicsgate. His profile is much bigger. He already has somewhat of by
Okay,
some,
well then forget Ethan.
people,
Okay,
he has
forget Ethan. What about Dark Gift? Same thing.
Well,
Did he
Dark
get
Gift,
shadow banned?
I haven't heard as much about what I didn't know he got. Are you saying he got Shadow Man?
Yes.
See, I didn't know that, but
Well, I mean, Dark Gift is not as big as Ethan Van Sciver, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
same thing.
but
Same
no,
thing
we're
with Doc.
I think
Neither
we're
of them
trying
are
to
as big
compare
as.
Doc to Dark Gift now. But they're both shadow banned, so Ethan hasn't been shadow banned. Yeah, he's judged by the SJWs and other people, maybe like that or maybe not like that. You know,
Anyways, we do
but
have a couple people come in since we started our conversation. I want to give them a chance to introduce themselves and share links and So Tim, if you want to start us off, if you can still hear, I know I can see you're muted, but if you want to.
What am I starting you off on? What?
Well, tell us who you are. Talk about what projects you're doing.
Yeah.
If you want to share a link, feel free to. Basically intros here is what we're doing.
Oh, all right. Well, my name is Timothy Olson. I am the creator of Melvin. Melvin number 2 has come to a close, and Melvin number 3 is coming soon. So.
All right. So you have no links to share then?
Not at all right now. No.
Okay, Terry. See, I think I gave you a wrench already, right?
Yeah.
So if you have any links that you'd like to share in terms of
not at the moment.
But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and talk about whatever projects you may be working on, share any links if you have any that you'd like to share. Go for it.
Well, I'm Terry. Most of you know me as Mighty Geek Studios on Instagram and on YouTube. But I can tell you this much right now. When it comes to Ethan Van Sciver, he's pretty much on everybody's hit list because he was a mainstream comic creator before he disagreed with the powers that be, which is why they always try to ban him in any way, shape, or form possible.
Yeah,
you make a very good point there. He's kind of he's kind of a bigger name than like Doc or Dark Gift,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But he didn't also, as far as I know, he has not gotten shadow banned by Indiegogo.
No, at least not yet. Anyway.
Not that I think it would matter for him, or
it probably wouldn't. He might get shadow banned if he goes through with Rainbow the Brute, because one, not only is he a gender swap version of Rainbow Bright, he committed the ultimate sin of making him a good father.
Yeah.
Well, the funny
Dun
thing
dun
about,
dun.
I mean,
Well,
I don't
actually, I
know.
think he did go through.
Going back to
Rainbow
Doc
Brute
for a
has
moment.
been.
Going
There
back
was
to, and
a
I
thing
made this
for.
point earlier. If you guys had seen the trail, if any of you had a chance to see the trailer on his book Pariah, Blood and Mud.
Mm.
Now, on
I
that
don't think so.
trailer, he does have a naked girl lying like face down on there. That could be, that might be what they might quote. Again, I don't know because I didn't actually watch the live stream where he talked about it, and I did try to get an interview with him, but he he didn't want to commit to one, and so I mean, but I'm only speculating that. That's just my speculation. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of information, but thinking maybe if you guys heard a little bit about it, you guys might have had more information on it than I would.
No.
And as always, guys, if you can help me out by, of course, liking and sharing the stream and seeing if we can get some more friendly people in the chat to participate, that'd be appreciated. And for those in the chat, if anything we mention grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will of course try to answer them to the best of the questions. We'll try to answer to the best of our ability. Let me see now. Oh yeah, so basically none of us know a whole lot about the Shadow, but I know a little bit more about it because I saw some of the stuff coming out, but I haven't seen any news articles coming out on it yet. So
Well, I doubt because he's such a small name, you will.
yeah, I mean, I there might be a chance, and maybe I should look that up. Maybe RJ wrote an article on his site.
The
on
most
it.
you
Yeah,
might
I just
see
the
is
only reason I think it happened is because he had a naked woman in the trailer.
Mhm.
Let's see the trailer.
Yeah, let's see the trailer.
Well, first let me see if there's an article here on the last
It's,
part.
I've seen it, George. It's not really that big of a deal, in my opinion.
All right.
It's not that sexually explicit or anything.
Oh, it's not. Oh, you're saying it's nothing like Mike Barron's Private American.
Or it's not like it's like a penthouse spread or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, is that Private America?
Private American is about a Cuban American soldier who's defending the, who's trying to stop illegals coming across the border.
I don't see that as offensive either, but I'm
I
normal, I
don't.
guess.
I don't either. But it's been shadow banned on Indiegogo and banned on Kickstarter.
I think we all should be like George and just have our own websites. George is ahead of the curve right there on that part.
Dude,
Hey.
George and Eric July, they're ahead of the curve. They use their own websites.
I've been at it for 3 decades, guys. You can't compare me.
I'm saying you're ahead of the curve there, bro.
Exactly, because you're not using Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
yeah.
Oh no.
Well,
I use them. I use them for advertising.
Ah, I see.
Smart.
Very.
yeah. And I, of course, also have my own website too, Timothy, which I've had for probably close to a decade now.
All right, my bad.
All right, so here's the trailer here.
And there's
Go full
warning
screen.
for mature audiences
Pause.
too.
Pause. Go full screen.
Actually, you're right, George. I'll do that.
And this is, a warning too, mature audiences.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what you say or the action that you take. This is done without your will for the problems that you made. You're the night of the justice of evermore legions all around you. Just the things you cannot change in the darkness that's inside you.
All right, shall I play? Shall I play it again, guys? Or
No,
No.
I don't need
No.
to see it again.
I don't. But
The only spot where she was quote unquote on the floor naked, she was not. It wasn't a frontal view; it was a back view.
right.
Wasn't as bad as. Oh, George left.
It wasn't as bad as they make it out to be. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I didn't think it
Yeah.
was that bad.
I can't see him getting shadow banned for that.
I mean, yeah.
No.
I mean, I didn't really think it was that bad either. But again, that was just my when I said that too. That was just my speculation. So, and look who's in the chat, guys.
Yeah, but it could be shadow banned for making the woman look weak
It's
for a
the
split second.
it's the meme master, Mr. Yamakui.
I have an idea. Put her a diamond costume. You can't fail with that.
That might be a bad idea.
Well, okay. Well, the thing is,
How about a bad
I
costume?
don't know, because I know that I made some editorial mistakes. I should have probably took down the banner real quickly, a little quicker than I did, to where you guys could have read some of the.
I was able to read it.
Other parts of it there, but
It's fine, man. It's fine.
But, yeah. So I guess we lost George then, huh? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think let's see. He probably had to go prep his stream, because I know he's got Joe King Adventure Hour.
Yeah.
So,
Joe King. Not to be confused with Vic King. Or Don King. Or Larry King. Or King Kong.
I think it's meant.
Yeah,
I think,
you seem to
I
be.
think it's meant as a pun, though. I think that's what it is.
Yes, Timothy, you seem to be joking a lot.
Really?
Anyways, and as I said, for those particularly in the chat, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, seeing if we can get some more people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. Okay, so basically, again, I was just throwing out ideas because, as I said, I didn't have a whole lot of information on what was going on there. I was just throwing out ideas as to why it might be happening.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It really kind of breaks the narrative that all these campaigns are shadow banned because they're violating terms of service. Well, it doesn't make any sense if it's a campaign that's not.
The only thing going back to George's point about prejudging, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I could, and maybe that's what George was trying to get at too with this, okay? But the only thing I could see them getting kind of a little jiffy about in terms of about prejudging is, well, because Doc identifies himself as Comicsgate.
Yeah, but Ethan does the same.
If they identify, maybe they just Comicsgate, shadow ban him. Maybe.
Yeah, but Ethan does the same. Identifies as Comicsgate, so that again doesn't.
Well, Ethan not only identifies
Ethan's a bigger name, but
Comicsgate.
Yeah.
And I know what you're saying there, Rick, is that if it was that's what I think, where I think George might have been going with it. If that was the case, then Ethan would be perennially shadow banned. But because I think somebody, I don't know if it was you, Terry, or somebody here said that they're always trying to get Ethan banned or shadow banned.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
well, yeah, the SJWs or people
Yeah.
of the like, some
Problem
indie
is they
some indie comics people, but
yeah. The problem is they really can't ban Ethan because he brings a lot of traffic to Indiegogo and other places like that.
yeah, and well, it also starts to make them think, well, if they're going to ban Ethan, a kind of a big name in comics, and who
Mhm.
else can they ban? It's like they'll just decide to go somewhere else. Now, granted, Kickstarter has some similar issues from what I hear. So, and I think that's why, a lot of like RJ and a few others have been pushing the idea of, a new site called Fund My Comics, which is,
Right.
when that one's being, run by a lot of the more independent comic book creators who are sitting there trying to like get past all the shadow banning and censorship and stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah. And that ends up being more of a crowdfunding just for comics, where Indiegogo is a crowdfunding for everything. Same with Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know GoFundMe is more of a general one too, because I remember Vic Mignogna used that to help, gather money for his, for his lawsuit
Yeah.
against Manga Real and them. So
Yeah. Well, GoFundMe was more for general for people in need of finances for
Yeah.
something other than
Ba-
comics, a product, we'll say.
yeah.
Basically charity, if you would. You want to
Okay,
look at it like that.
So share screen. I see it.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be quality. A question of quality, because look at this comic.
Shall I full screen it, Tim?
No, it's fine. I'm making my point. That is like a kid's drawing right there.
Yeah, it is kind of amateur. Even from somebody who's not an artist, I can tell
Right.
it's
Yeah.
kind of amateur.
So you can't say it's quality.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Because look at that.
I don't think there's any real. There's probably some rhyme or reason to it. There's shadow banning, but I don't think any of us four are going to be able to figure it out.
Well,
is it possibly a glitch in the
first
system?
off, yeah, none of it, because I think I was the only one who, prior to this conversation, was really the only one who had even heard about it, even though I had no further news on it. Because again, I know Doc did a live stream on it, I guess, when it happened. And
Did you reach out to Doc? Can you get him on
anybody
the?
was going to have any major
Yeah.
on it, it would have been RJ. But
yeah, hey Shadowhawk, and yeah, he said earlier that he reached out to Doc to try and get an interview.
Okay. Well, my point.
Doc wouldn't commit to anything.
Oh yeah, I get it. He's a busy guy. Yeah, it makes no sense. It's either a glitch in the system, or B, something that to do with the trailer, but we don't know.
Yeah, but anything.
But the one thing is clear, though.
Hold
on. One thing is clear: it cannot be because of violation of terms of service, because it's a sign up.
It's in sign up. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how could he have violated just for having people sign up for his book? How could that?
Right.
Well, it could be a violation in whatever content is up there for
how.
Well, you put some minor content up for sign up, right? So it could be a violation in that. But if it was
that's kind of the point I had made about the trailer. But even even when we were talking about that didn't seem like enough to warrant it, though. Anyways, guys, before we continue here. Shadowhawk, I know I sent you the link as well. If you wanted to join us in studio, you're more than welcome to join us in studio. I just want to make sure he understood that. So,
but as I said earlier, if he had violated the terms of service, it would be taken down completely.
Right.
So that doesn't constitute a shadow ban. That if you violate terms of service, they say they well, I'm pretty sure they say, we're going to take your stuff down.
Yeah, they're gonna ban the whole campaign. Yeah.
The thing that we
Yeah.
have, and it's still somewhat subjective, is that he's apparently being shadow banned. As to why he's being shadow banned, we don't know. We can only
Yeah. Well,
speculate. We can only
Yeah.
change,
But
change
we,
observations and stuff like that. We can try to guess at what it might be, but then
yeah.
you know,
And any of us, I think, any of us here guessing, we all come up with some reason that, that doesn't work,
Hmm.
whatever reason, one of us else comes up with. We
but
can even,
that's what I like about the thing I try to do here on the mic stand is get these conversations going and just get everybody's head working a little bit there, on some of this stuff.
yeah.
These
So,
conversations, I think, are productive.
yeah. The unfortunate part is we're not going to know why he's shadow banned. He'll never know why, because they're not going to tell him.
No.
Of course not. I mean, we can speculate, and we may have some some understanding of the reason why. Depending upon if you believe because I don't know, there might be some SJWs running Indiegogo, and of course with as I said before, if Doc identifies himself as Comicsgate, but then again we refuted that because we know they haven't shadow banned the man who is Comicgate, Ethan Van Sciver. So
and there's lots of there's Ethan, and then there's lots of other comic skaters, some more loudly. Like technically I'm Comicsgate. I think technically Tim's Comicsgate.
Hmm.
I am only Tim.
Mhm.
But I'm
The thing is,
Comicsgate.
most of us are considered Comicsgate because we're going against the system.
I'm Comicsgate tolerant.
Well, okay. There's a way that because I had actually, I wasn't sure if I would consider myself because for me, from my perspective, I'm not a comic book artist or writer. I'm a niche commentator. Okay.
Thing is,
Yeah,
you're a
but
comic book fan, though.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
a
and
comic
that's
book
where
fan because
Comicsgate all
obviously, and I
started.
cover
Yeah.
comic books as part of niche culture. But since I wasn't necessarily a comic book creator, I didn't necessarily always think of myself as Comicsgate. But I think it was Doc who actually explained it to me this way. It's like, well, if you believe in a lot of what Comicsgate believes in, like putting out good stories, like not trying to push narrative over a good story.
Yeah.
You're Comicsgate. If you basically believe in what Comicsgate believes in, then you still are Comics. I think it was either Doc or Rex who kind of pointed that out to me, Devil Flyer, who pointed that out to me.
Yeah, and if you believe not in treating your customers like, well, maybe not. You don't believe that the customers should get treated
like a piece of manure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say about niches. Niches get sneeches.
No, that's snitches get
goes.
stitches.
Who snitched? You snitch?
Yeah, you snitched.
I didn't snitch. I had no snitch. Right? Terry?
You snitch those two pieces of material together.
I didn't snitch nothing.
Anyways, now I think we discussed that to a point to where we pretty much have said everything that can be said on that issue. So let me move on to something here. And Tim, you were of course my co-host on Friday, this past Friday.
Yes.
And I know Terry, you kind of dropped in too. So I wanted for those who either are in the chat now or even for those who might watch this on replay, I want to get you guys' impressions of what we, particularly you, Tim, because Tim, you are my co-host. If you want to share your commentary on what we read Friday.
What was the first story? The first story I got kind of a kick out of, even though it was supposed to be a serious one.
Yeah. Well, okay. Before I'll.
What was that one?
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a moment because Shadowhawk just said something. I am Comicsgate all the way, but also Comicsgate friendly indies. Without big guys, it would be another 5 years before we got here.
Interesting
I,
point.
I think what Shadowhawk is pointing out is that
1 sec, Dave.
like what Comsgate is trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish, we'd still be in the very early stages of it if it weren't for guys like Ethan Van Sciver, like Mike Barron, like Don Malin, some of these bigger names, like even like Eric July. I know some people have had some criticisms about his book and all that, but some of these bigger, more well-known names being involved with Comicsgate on some level or another is what paved the path for maybe some of the lesser known people involved in Comicsgate to kind of thrive. Anyways, so exactly, Mike. Okay, so exactly, Mike. Okay, so
Get in here, Shadowhawk. Dang it.
Cross Comics was saying, be right back. Okay. All right. So with that, let's kind of get back to. So I'll remind you, Tim. What was the name
of that character? It was.
We were focusing on books that went on sale in August of 1939 from Super Syndicate. We were first reading from Mystery Men Comics, which the first.
What was the first story?
Green Mask.
Green Mask. Yes, I found it funny
and all that. But go ahead.
I just found it funny, even though he's a good guy doing good things. He encouraged the kid to lie, even though the person that the kid was lying to was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing all this
some twisted logic in writing there, huh?
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny. It's like, wait, he's not gonna tell the kid, hey, stay in school, little Jimmy, and always eat your peas and carrots and say your prayers.
In fact, when we were talking about that very thing too, I got into a little bit about how some of the aspects of comics about the Comics Code Authority, where one of the rules was you always had to make authority figures look good. You couldn't make like cops or politicians look bad or corrupt.
Right.
You mean like what they are in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and of course, Green Mask, Blue Beetle, and Zanzibar were the three stories we read from Mystery Men, and then we read The Flame.
How can you read The Flame? It's not out yet.
Not You're the Flame. I didn't even know this, because I think you actually were with me when we first read that particular story, because you were doing you had started doing some sketch work on your own character, The Flame.
You could always add an R to the end of your character's name.
No. Actually, I think I was drawing that flame then, not mine. Although I'd like to draw a picture of them together. Most likely he is a public domain character, so I might do some sort of a comic thing with him eventually.
Well, I know that I think the Flame was one of those characters that Malibu picked up in the early 90s there, along with a number of other, like some of the more public domain, what we consider public domain characters like today. Anyways, Terry, you stopped in as well. Did you want to share any thoughts on what we read on Friday? Did you have anything you wanted to...
Well, the thing is about comics that came out in the late 30s. I love them all because it's like the main characters are usually amoral and moral at the same time, which you really can't judge them on that because they get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in some cases the bad guys that has the moral compass that the good guys should have.
Well, I
don't know.
I kind of find life a little more complicated than that, so I find those characters kind of comical.
Well, as Rick can tell you guys, one of the things that we actually discovered last time I had him on when we were reading over Marvel Comics #1, Namor was originally introduced as a villain. At least, he came off more as a villain.
Yeah, straight up villain.
which I didn't
He
even
may
know
have
that.
been a hero to his people, but to anybody outside his people, he was a straight up villain.
It's probably because he kept trying to sneak into America and steal our jobs. Oh, wait, no, wait, never mind.
No, he just wanted to kill the Americans.
Freaking Atlanteans.
Well, what he wanted to do is he wanted to kill the land dwellers is what he wanted to do, because he blamed all land dwellers for the miseries of his people.
Yeah. So SJW. So Namor was the first SJW in comics.
What did he demand reparations from the land dwellers?
Yeah, he did. Their lives.
Where's my reparations, land dweller?
Yeah, their reparation was their lives.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at it.
Mm.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the I'm fascinated with some of the writing out of there, because they're more formal in terms of how they wrote. There's more vocabulary at use there than you'd see today.
Yeah, well, I think they were writing to the people of the day because people had better vocabulary back then. Nowadays,
Well, and also,
Are you saying my vocabulary is bad, Rick?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Also too, you have
But
to
mine's
remember
bad,
too.
too.
In some cases, like for example, kids back then were a lot more mature than they are now, if you really think about it, because a lot of the 12, 13, 14-year-olds back in those days were out holding down jobs. But today, they don't even think about the idea. I mean, not even some of the ones that would be considered kid friendly, like going and mowing people's lawns or babysitting.
By the time they were 18, they were paying mortgages.
Yep.
Well, or at least contributing to paying mortgages. Because, in fact, if you guys know, one of the characters that we cover, we do DC. In fact, Terry, when you join me on the 24th here, 24th, we'll probably be looking at him.
Okay.
Do you know who Squibbly Gibbet is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, he was like, well, I think in one story they acknowledged that he was 13 and a half. And he, in that comic, he was a cartoonist, right?
Right.
Cartoonist, and also another guy I'm thinking of, Hop Harrigan. Hop was based on what I was able to gather, Hop was probably when he first debuted in All American Comics #1. He was about 14 years old, I would say. He's still 14.
Actually, he was 15, but the kid worked so hard, everyone thought he was older.
Okay. Oh, you actually know this, that he was actually 15?
Yeah,
was it based on post-crisis though? Because I figured he was like 14 or 15 because he was because he was still pretty much a kid. We knew that. We knew he wasn't 18 yet.
No, he wasn't 18. Because you have to remember, at this time, most kids had stiff jobs like paper routes and stuff like that, which put them in the working class.
Right.
And if you were working so hard, you would be confused for an adult.
Whereas today, a 12, 13, 14-year-old isn't even thinking about work.
Right.
Little Jimmy saves his money so one day he could crush his parents.
Well, they might have been probably not nowadays because paper routes, there's very few of them, and they're usually done in the middle of the night. But
yeah, a couple things. One, I think the newspapers, just like television, are dying out because all you have to do to get news is just turn on your computer.
Yeah.
No,
and I do know because I worked on some retail business a few years ago that would still have like little paper slots at times. But usually nowadays, at least here in California, I don't know about other parts of the country, but at least from what I saw from like 10, 15 years ago, mind you, usually the paper routes were done by adults in trucks. usually Hispanics, mind you, and they'd come in the truck
Gasp.
with a pack of papers to put in there. So it wasn't the kid riding the bike tossing the paper like in video games.
California. Well, we're talking about the state that puts people behind bars for misgendering people.
Well, for here in Hamilton about 5 years ago, when was doing a paper route, you had to go pick them up at 2 in the morning from a depot, and then go deliver them. It was mainly adults, or if not all adults, and using cars. I used a shopping. I used a shopping buggy. Well, actually, my mom used a shopping buggy. I had a couple of newspaper bags over my shoulders with the papers in, and just trudged through.
But basically, as I said,
25.
you look back to those old guys. The kids were a lot more mature then than they are now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the times demanded them to be. Where you basically you had one, if not both parents working out. The father probably was working out of the home, working like in a factory or something like that. The mother was probably taking in laundry, maybe taking in some child care duties, and then the older kids were either helping out with that. Usually the girls would be helping out with that, or the boys would be going out and doing like paper routes or
and around then you might have
newsies and all that.
You might have around then you might have some girls working in some factories, but like sewing type factories or whatever.
This just in. Apparently, Lightbringer 2 is also shadow banned.
Yeah.
Lightbringer 2. Who is that? Who's doing that book?
Let me see. It's
because I've seen a documentary, sort of. I wouldn't call it a reenactment series about people living through the 40s, 50s, 60s. They'd spend a week in living like the 50s era or whatever.
Right.
And there was a series for Canada. I think the other one was for Britain, and it started like in the 30s or 40s. So. And it'd be a family doing this. They'd live like a week in what would be the 30s. Their home would be the home they lived in, or whatever home that they were using would be transformed each week.
I'm wondering if Lightbringer 2 got shadow banned because they have "Make Lightbringer Great Again" hat.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
That's a possible reason.
That's a possible reason because it's too MAGA-like.
Dean James.
I did hear about that too. By the way, about Lightbringer. I did see a headline on that. I think Phantasmagorical actually has a video on that, has a short on that. So
yeah.
But I think the shadow banning. Not that we want to really get back into it, but it just hurts Indiegogo because less people are going to be using their service. They're going to find somewhere else, hopefully, where they're not shadow banned.
Right.
Something like Fund My Comic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll just do what I do and
website.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my real goal is, to get off crowdfunding. I want to be able to sell everything from my website.
Well, yeah. Doesn't Chris is doing that too, right? The Tomoviches, they're doing that too, right?
Yeah. I think more and more people should start doing that because like outside of this little sphere, no one knows who any of us are.
Right.
It's like, don't you want to exist outside the internet as well as on the internet?
Yeah.
True.
Well, and that outside of YouTube too. That's why I'm getting on TikTok.
Oh yeah. Update on Jim Con in Boise.
Yeah.
Apparently, I got a message back saying that they're all booked up, but I'm on a waiting list, so it might not happen this year. I might have to do some other event.
You probably waited a little too long to apply.
Probably.
And you might be happy about this. On TikTok right now, video that's been watched the most is my speed video or time lapse video, what do you want to ever call it, from Melvin Page 15 with 335 plays.
Oh, there you go. Yep. The artwork it should be is getting close to being done, and so after that the script shall be edited more. So proofread.
And I never got that page finished on Friday. Just the a little bit of erasing that I have to do is monotonous for the grading to make it look the way that it was done.
Right. Okay. Well,
it should be done. I'm working on the next panel page.
Right.
This week, hopefully
Excellent.
tomorrow.
Excellent.
Anyways, back to Mike with everywhere.
So I was checking the stuff there, but just thinking of okay, so we talked about Doc Blaylock, we talked about what happened. So let me ask you guys something. Okay, now I know you may not be watching like anime at this point in your lives, okay? But when you guys when you guys have watched anime or cartoons, did you really think a whole lot about who the person was behind the voice, what they look like? Did you?
Not really.
Nope.
Did it
Not
matter?
really.
Never.
because here's the thing. Here, there's a of course, I don't know if you guys have been hearing about this, but particularly in the anime dub industry right now, there's this big push going for, we need more representation. We need more representation. And the latest situation came out of the latest Gundam series, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. So apparently there were some quote unquote Middle Eastern, North African voice actors out there who were really kind of crying about the fact that Jill Harris, who is a white voice actress from the Dallas area.
There you go. That's the whole thing right there. Yeah. I have to say is white voice actor. Okay, we get what they're crying about.
Well, okay. So, this is the thing. So, Jill Harris and another voice actress named Natalie Vistine were cast in two of the roles. Suletta, and I think the other one's Miorine from Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. Okay, and they were claiming, that because of her dark skin, Suletta was more Middle Eastern, North African, and because I don't know if it was Suletta or the other girl who proposed to the other girl, and she was only proposing to her to get out of an arranged marriage or something like that, supposedly. But these girls were supposedly they're white straight women who basically got these roles, and you had some voice actors and voice actresses coming out and say, well, no, they need to be, these are MENA queers, and they need to have MENA queer voice actresses to play the roles. The only problem is,
wait, MENA what?
I say MENA because spelled it in large letters, MENA, meaning Middle Eastern, North African. But here's the point. Here's one of the points I made about that, and that a number of other commentators have made about that. Okay, she's not Middle Eastern, North African. She's Mercurian because she's from Mercury, and of course her skin would be darker because she's closer to the sun. And the whole thing about the characters being queer was, again, because supposedly one character had supposedly proposed marriage to the other character, but the reason behind it was only to get out of a prearranged marriage.
So they didn't cave into it, did they?
No. Crunchyroll, and that's where this series is being shown. I did not give into that. Now here's the other point. Here's the other point that I made when I reported on this story the other day too, because they point out, well, even though these characters were not specifically said to be like Middle Eastern, North African, or queer or anything like that, there was never any of the artists that said yet that these characters were that. These actresses supposedly were saying that they were, even though the creator did not. And this is a point that I was making when I was reporting on this the other day. This is one of the bigger points I was trying to make. It's not the voice actor's job to reinterpret the original intentions of the creater.
No.
It's simple.
No, it isn't.
Anime is our adaptations of manga, and whatever the manga creator interpreted as what the character should be what they portray.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that, but okay, the manga, when it goes to anime, then at that point it's some director or whatever, casting director or whatever. Hopefully that person's got input from the the guy that created the characters, and maybe he's in on it for what the voices should sound like to him. And he's not going to care what you look like. He's going to care what your voice sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what most people fail to understand.
My point was,
especially with a cartoon.
My point was that that if they're doing that as the creator or something, they should fire those voice actors. Say no, you don't, and then apologize and make a correction on what they said, or at least make a correction on what they said and make them apologize. I don't know.
Anyway, you guys continue the conversation. I've got to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back.
All right.
That's just the way I see it.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah. Like if I, started creating a cartoon show for the Canadian Shield, and I'm interviewing people for, to do, the different voices. It's going to be what the voices, I think in my head that, I'm not going to care what they look like. I want to care whether they can do the character the way that, or close to the character the way that I think he talks, and mannerisms in his voice and stuff like that.
That's all you're looking for.
Yeah.
There's an advantage to being the little guy. Everyone seems to overlook you.
Yeah. It's sort of almost like with Star Trek, it's when James Doohan came in and did that Scottish accent for, Montgomery Scott.
Right.
That sold them on the part because they're like, yeah, that's what this character should sound like.
Right.
Yeah, he had the look too, but
he had the look, but they really didn't have a sound for him until he came in and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like for instance, Canadian Shield is a native, character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if you were a huge name? They'd be zeroing on you in a second.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah, I know. I don't
Thing
care.
is, it's like what they did with Ghost in the Shell when they turned it into a live-action movie. The guy who created Ghost in the Shell said the Scarlett Johansson was the Major.
And
she had the look, she had the sound, and everything.
The Japanese people loved it. They said, "Thank you for including us in your culture."
Yeah.
Dude, you have to understand. You have to understand that the Major isn't a fully Japanese woman.
No.
Her body is half European.
Yeah.
And he went that way so that everyone could relate to the character.
Yeah.
It was
or
just
maybe
a good
relate
movie.
because, as we know, you don't have to look like somebody to relate.
Right. Right.
Yeah, for instance, Denzel Washington in the movie The Book of Eli.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, he was a Christian, and
Mhm.
you didn't know he was blind. I didn't know he was blind until the end of the movie. But still,
Exactly.
as a Christian, I could relate to. I mean, somebody made an argument that they couldn't watch it because but he kills people. And they're like, oh yeah, but he's a Christian in a post-apocalyptic
The
world.
world, right?
What do you want him to do?
First of all, if you look at anything set in a post-apocalyptic world, the majority of the cast is white. So
Yeah,
having Denzel Washington come out as the main character in this story was shocking to everyone. Even
it was a
though
good
you've
movie.
heard, even though you've heard him speak off camera, it's like you wonder if who is this guy? What does he look like? Then when he shows up, it's like, are you kidding?
Well, I mean, if you watch the whole movie, you end up wondering, did he actually hear God's voice, or was it somebody telling him to read
Right.
the book? You don't know.
He sold it. That's all I'm saying. He sold it. So it's like,
Well, you guys make some interesting points there. It's kind of funny because last night when I was flipping through Pluto TV, right,
mhm,
flipping through some of the channels on it, and on one of the channels they were showing a Walker Texas Ranger episode.
right, okay.
Division Street was the episode where Hulk Hogan had guest starred on Walker.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I know the episode you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. Same
The
here.
next on
All the
James
little
Boomer,
monsters know.
who basically was trying to redeem or had found redemption, was trying to clean up a gang-infested neighborhood known as Division Street.
Right.
The scene that he talked about when he was talking to the kids, where he talked about like first day he got there, he got put into solitary confinement,
hmm
and he heard a voice. He heard a voice talking to him, trying to help him get through it, and just quoting a bunch of scripture and stuff. Now,
Right.
he pointed out that yes, his heart was filled with hatred for black people.
hmm
He acknowledged that, at least his character acknowledged being a racist. Okay,
Yeah.
and when it came time for that voice to leave solitary confinement, the solitary confinement cell next to him,
hmm
uh, he looks out to see who it was.
Right.
It was a black man, and that was kind of his,
That's kind of his awakening moment.
yeah. So, but basically, okay, I can understand it. Like I can understand a little bit like Jameson Price's situation. I don't know if you guys know who Jameson Price is.
hmm
He's a dub voice actor, longtime dub voice actor, going back to like the 90s, basically. Well, he last year had said that he was going to step down from voicing Chad in the new Bleach series, Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War arc, because he wanted to give somebody who would be more appropriate for the world the opportunity. Now, in that case, it was known that yes, Chad was quote unquote Mexican Japanese, so he wanted to make way for somebody who was Mexican Japanese, voice actor, somebody who was of Mexican Japanese descent to take over that role. Now I can understand in that case, where representation matters, but overall, I think it's like the thing with going back to Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury,
Mm.
to automatically assume that the author intended for the one character to be Middle Eastern, North African queer is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
And
when they were born on Mercury.
I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. It's the whole idea. Again, it's not for the voice actors or even the directors to just full on just completely reinterpret the character to fit their own narrative. That's not their job. Their job is to depict the character as is presented, as the creator had presented them to be.
Well, directors are usually picked to do their interpretation of a script, and sometimes they mess up. Sometimes they get it good. Sometimes they get it bad. But they're the head creator on the project, or well, except for the
Yeah.
producers.
Well,
or
okay,
whatever.
it's one thing to interpret. It's one thing to maybe have a slightly different interpretation, or but it's another to just make such an incredible leap in reading.
Yeah,
There.
logic.
I mean, the creator of the manga Mobile Suit Gundam, apparent from what I understand, they never indicated if the characters in question were actually gay or not, or queer, or
No.
say it.
9 times out of 10, they don't, because it's not really important to the
not
story.
saying they were Middle Eastern North African, because again, the one girl that they were really keying in on, Suletta, her dark skin came from the fact that she was from Mercury.
Right.
Mercury. So I mean,
That's a little far away from Africa.
Mercury, unless they develop those
A little, you say.
biodomes or whatever.
Are you making fun of me? The fact that I don't know geography that well, Rick?
Yes.
A little far from Africa.
Yeah.
Hey,
3-4 million miles is quite the distance, if you ask me.
Hey, I'm just being a little facetious.
The moon is far away from.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, it's a whole hell of a lot far away from Africa.
It would be like saying that people in Pluto are albinos.
See?
It'd be kind of like that.
Yeah, it would be.
Mercuryphobe.
These people make these incredible leaps in logic and reasoning, and they should be getting called out on them. I mean, yeah, I covered that article. I know that Yellow Flash covered that article. I know a few other commentators who covered that and talked about that. Just how
they're stupid.
Well, the problem is they come into these roles, they get these roles, they read for them or whatever. They don't do any study on the characters to get to know them. So they just make automatic assumptions without doing any research. Oh, she's black. Oh, must come from Africa.
No, I don't even think that's necessarily even the case. I think.
How could they not know their characters?
I think in some cases, they do actually do a little bit of research, and then just decide. Well, in other words, most people would just take what the mangaka did as fact, right? Most people would say, okay, this is how the creator presented them, but this is how they present. If they don't say, if the creator doesn't say they're black or white or orange with polka dots or brown or what have you, or they don't say that they're queer or straight or anything like that, people will naturally assume certain things. People will naturally assume straight over gay, usually. Okay. But I think sometimes they may study the character and then decide on their own to just reinterpret. Well, no, that doesn't fit the narrative that we want to put. So we got to say that, even though this girl's from Mercury, she's actually Middle Eastern North African. It's like,
yeah. Well, these are just hired voice actors, and obviously I can't say for sure that they didn't do any sort of research, because I don't know. But it seems to start to make statements like that. Yeah, they could be trying just to do their narrative. I agree. It's possible, but it seems more likely to me that they just didn't do the research on the character. They just go off how they're supposed to read their lines by the director.
Well, and plus, I think, again, because like the point we made about in this particular case with Suletta, they assumed, okay, this girl's dark skinned, therefore, it's not super dark, so she's dark skinned enough to be Middle Eastern North African, even though we know she's not from the Middle East or North Africa. She's from Mercury.
She's not even from the planet Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's
If
where they
I-
make the mistake.
That's probably
you
one of the
know,
more asinine aspects of this whole thing.
now
In a
me,
lot of these SJWs, I mean, again, and as I said, to draw the comparison, like, okay, I understood where Jameson Price was coming from a little bit, because at least that character, Chad from Bleach. I don't know if you guys have seen Bleach before. You know who Chad.
Mhm.
Okay, they did state that he was in fact Mexican Japanese, so that would at least make his at least reasoning would make sense.
Right.
yeah, but if somebody can if you're black and can do that voice for that Mexican Japanese person that they want, who cares that you're black in real life?
Exactly.
You can do the voice.
No one's paying to see you; they're paying to hear you.
Right. Well, it goes back to what I was talking about with that Walker episode too. I mean, it just goes to show you that, there's no. Granted, maybe in some areas there might be some slight things that you might be able to tell, but really you can't just simply tell a person or color their skin or anything by their voice.
Yeah. It also reminds me of an episode of All in the Family. Archie Bunker is in the hospital,
Right.
and there's a curtain between him and the patient next to him, so he can't see
I know the one you're talking about.
he can't see it, and the guy's got a British accent.
Mhm.
And when he opens up, the curtain gets opened up so he can see who it is, like near the end of the episode, he finds out this guy with a British accent's a black guy.
Yeah.
Hello,
Governor.
The thing
there
is,
are black people in Britain as well.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not sure if he was originally born there or not, but Sidney Poitier, I think may have. Well, I know that Sidney Poitier actually did a movie in Britain.
Yeah.
With Love,
Yeah, but that's just
You seem a little off when you say his last name.
Sidney Poitier.
Is that how you say his last name?
I think
Poitier.
Poitier. I know it's kind of French sounding.
It kind of hits my ear kind of funny when you say it.
I'm kind of funny when I say it.
No, I said when it hits my ear, when I hear it, it sounds funny. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Timothy, tell me something.
What?
Every time when you hear a British accent but don't see the person speaking, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Hat, monocle, bad teeth.
A white British dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello, governor. Top of the morning.
Hi, laddie.
And the thing is, in that episode, he was really liking the guy next to him.
Yeah.
He was just so shocked
when he revealed himself.
Yeah. So you can't never tell nothing by the voice, governor.
Exactly.
So, who cares what somebody looks like doing a voice?
Yeah.
Well, and it's
now I guess the two people and the two voice actresses in question. One guy was Tarshish, I think, and the other one was actually. In fact, I can probably go back to that article and I can probably find the name.
Yeah.
And I think the other one was.
I know it's not quite the same circumstances, but it's like the white guy that got backlash for doing Abu in The Simpsons a few years ago.
Oh, I can't think of it. I know what you're talking about, but
Phil Hartman.
I don't know his name myself, but if you guys know, I don't know.
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
It's like, who cares? He does the voice that the people want,
Right.
And how they want it, Maybe, maybe the East Indians or whatever, Pakistanians, I forget what Abu is supposed to be exactly.
Right.
maybe they're not going to do the voice exactly the way that this, white guy does
We
it.
do
But
not offer
Right.
avocado peanut.
You have to remember. Apu is slowly assimilating to American culture, so he's starting to lose his accent at the same time as he's gaining his American accent.
Well, it's somebody pointed out like what's so offensive about him. He's a responsible business owner. He takes care of his family. So what's the problem?
You
Well,
you just described everyone with 2 ounces of common sense.
yeah. Well, see, we're not
Exactly.
that what you said there is true. We're not talking so much about the character himself. We're just talking about somebody voice acting him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, the thing was that because Apu is Indian Middle Eastern, therefore there should have been a Middle Eastern American.
Yeah.
That seems kind of like a weird way, kind of racist that they expect people of that nationality.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people have said that too.
Yeah.
That if anything, it almost sounds like kind of a form of racism right there. But anyway,
It is.
I found the article and I found the names I was looking for here, so I'll kind of share.
I think it's like Hank Azaria or something like that.
Yeah.
Could be, but
Okay. What was
So
the name you're looking-
there was a video of this guy asking about voter ID, and all the lefties that he interviewed made it sound like that black people didn't know how to actually get ID or use the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
remember the video.
Oh, I remember those. There was several of those.
Yeah.
So,
And then he went and asked the black people about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're like,
the first VA who
and every black person interviewed could tell you
Mike's talking.
what bus to take to get there.
Yeah.
So the first voice actor who complained about the casting that we're talking about with Soletta was a guy named Nazi H. Tarsha. And he's got what looks like a picture of Dexter's dad from Dexter's Laboratory as his avatar.
Oh, jeez.
And let's see, the other person is, I believe that's pronounced Anari Kionis. Anari Kionis. In fact, she's the one who, I guess, really went after. And the two women here, and I'll go back up to and these are the two girls who got cast into these controversial roles. Jill Harris Jill Harris for Soletta Mercury on the left there, and she is kind of a darker tone character.
Okay.
And then Natalie Van Christine.
Not really. I mean, I'm looking at both.
Not really.
Yeah.
The one looks almost white, and then real white.
One
and
is
the other one, then the other.
they're just so pale. It's still not even funny.
Yeah.
And
What's
the
the
one
issue?
looks like what we would consider white here on Earth.
Well, I think in the case of Maureen, that might have been partially where the whole queer. In other words, they're saying, okay, that's not as much of a race. Maybe they're saying that Maureen is
Japanese anime.
a queer character.
It's Japanese
or
anime.
a gay character.
Yeah, but I look at either of these characters and I'd say, how in the heaven's name do you get that either of these would be from Africa or Middle Eastern?
Right.
Well, it's the one on the left that they were focusing on that part of the argument. The one on the left.
Yeah, but even looking at her,
even looking at her, is like, how do you get Africa from that shit?
I don't know.
She looks more Eastern European.
Yeah, or American even.
Right.
What they're talking about though is Middle Eastern North Africa, as in like Saudi Arabia, Egypt.
It still doesn't work.
It still doesn't work.
Yeah, not to me anyway.
She's still too light.
And may I say something?
Too light toned is what you're saying.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
In a type of like the Japanese anime where guys easily look like girls, how can you tell which characters are quote unquote queer and which ones are not?
Okay.
Yeah, well, they probably made sure these are both girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, and as
exactly.
I said, it goes back to one of the points I was making. Their job isn't to reinterpret the character to fit their narrative. Their job is to
Do the voice.
Do the voice. Yeah.
the voice of the character as the character was interpreted by the original creator. The original creator probably didn't think to let the original creator when he drew and created Suletta Mercury probably did not think, oh, this girl is a Middle Easterner. He's probably thinking, no, this girl's from
That was
Mercury.
the farthest thing from his mind.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And yet she was taking this leap.
No
I
offense.
must say, the director for sure should. I'm not sure whether the director of the series or whatever did his homework, but even if the actors or voice actors aren't doing their homework, as the director, he or she should be doing his homework on the series to, get the right
Yeah, but I
vibe
mean
of the
that
series.
that right there shouldn't take. I mean, Suletta Mercury from Mercury, okay, from Mercury. I mean, how much research do you really need to figure out? Okay, she's definitely not North African. She's definitely not Middle Eastern.
Yeah, but what I mean is, I don't know how many issues this manga had, but go back and read a bunch of it to know what it's all about. Get the vibe of the whole thing. So you can put that in the anime.
Now, Rick, you're asking a lot of these brain dead people.
Yeah, God forbid I do that, right?
I'm
Like-
sad to say, but a huge chunk of the anime fan base are those pronoun obsessed people. Have you noticed?
Yeah. But
Well, the thing is, those are the people who usually don't watch it in the original language. They usually watch it dubbed in some way.
That is true.
like the people that did the He-Man 2002 version, they went back and did their homework. The people
Exactly.
that did the Thundercats 2011, they went
Right.
back and did their
the
homework.
homework.
Yeah, but unlike with the more recent like He-Man, the Kevin Smith He-Man, the more recent She-Ra Princess of Power with the trash fire that we've all come to know as Velma.
Yeah.
Well, see, the problem is with Velma, they knew it all because this is pretty much a lot more pop culture, I'll say, than even He-Man. And they said, we just don't give a damn. We're throwing it all out.
Yeah.
Right.
And apparently again, now granted, the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes went back up to 7%. It was stuck at 6 for a long. Now Yellow Flash had theorized that it got locked at 6%, and that's why it wouldn't go down any further. But
right
now the show is done. Now the show is done. So now we just have to wait for the Nielsen ratings to come out. Like they expect that, there will be a big watch for the first couple of episodes, but then it'll probably be dropping off I see it dropping I see the viewership dropping like a rock after the first or second episode because
Can we get Quentin Tarantino to do another Scooby-Doo cartoon?
Now that would be nice. I think he's the only. I think he's the only one who understands Scooby-Doo.
Samuel L. Jackson as Scooby-Doo. Say what? Say what again, mother blood bleeper? Say what again?
I think I would be better to do Scooby-Doo than him. I can get the voice, Shaggy. Yeah, Dimitri, I can't.
See what I mean?
And supposedly, how I guess the mystery that was I guess going on for the whole season, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
The culprit ended up being Fred's mom. She ended up being the murderer.
Oh, come on!
The suburban white
housewife
mother was the murderer, apparently.
Wait! Is she gonna get beheaded?
That's why they were originally saying that Freddy was the suspect, and his genetics were found and all that because,
Wait.
but apparently it was his mother who committed the murder in the show.
Is she gonna get
Is that-
beheaded and Fred's gonna stalk Crystal Lake killing campers?
I don't know because again, granted, the people who are making the show want to make a second season.
Tell me you guys
But,
got that.
but that's in the air as to whether or not it. I mean, this thing's a trap. This thing is like the worst rated animated show in IMDb history, and it is the third worst rated show period in IMDb history. Okay.
You guys do know that IMDb set the bar pretty low to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but yeah.
It seems like they've taken a page or two out of Riverdale's playbook.
Well, there's another show that-
Riverdale is a different
another
story
show
because
that's going to be getting talked about
basically,
over the next- there's another show that's going to be getting talked about probably over the next few weeks here that's currently running on Disney Plus. You guys might have heard about this one. The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Oh yeah.
oh no, I've I've already heard the bad news about that one.
It sounds
Yeah.
stupid.
So now I did watch the original Proud Family back in the early 2000s. It was pretty
Yeah.
good. It was a pretty good show. They really, but what they decided to do with this property now in this case you can't really get too mad because this is their own property. This is Disney's own property. But
I
with
know.
the newer property, they basically decided to turn it into, with Louder and Prouder, they decided to make it into a BLM propaganda show.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Here comes
That's
that
what-
mean Mr. White.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Well, although it is their own property, you can say something because they had the original. They know what their original was, and they know why it got popular as the original. If you're changing the whole tone of the show, what are you gonna expect when most people aren't gonna like this or tune into it? Probably even a lot of black people aren't gonna end up tuning into it.
Right.
Let me guess. They're playing. They're having a squirt gun fight in the neighborhood, and a black kid gets squirted for no reason.
Well,
Probably.
that hasn't happened yet, but from what I understand, though, like one of the, I guess, newer characters that they were introducing as part of the show is the black daughter of a lesbian couple.
Oh, jeez.
It's the Ruckmeister family.
Who is a social activist. And I guess in one of the scenes that they're showing as part of the preview, they're doing an Antifa protest in which they're facing down the big old mean cops.
Oh, gee, Antifa.
There's a little song for it too that they show for the clip that I've seen.
You're going to probably be hearing about this in each over the next couple weeks here. I mean, there was already, I did cover one of the first articles from the other day. So, but I know
Burning down your city.
Talked about too,
burning down your blood.
they basically have turned it into a BLM propaganda show, BLM Antifa
propaganda show. Yeah.
Propaganda show. It's
burning down the city because we don't like cops.
Are you really listening to it, Tim?
No,
He is.
I'm making up a song.
Oh, he's making something else up that goes to the beat of it.
For me, what they're doing, it would be like the owners of, say, the Cosby Show, or not Saved by the Bell, though, with the Winslows.
First off, I don't think they really could do it with the Cosby Show because
Bill Cosby owns
for a couple of reasons. One,
Bill Cosby owns that one.
He owns that, but also he's kind of a bit of a pariah because
so many victims.
He's got himself in some trouble.
Yeah, I know all about the trouble that he's got, and I was just using it as an example.
The Cosby Family go to Epstein Island special.
But the thing is that if they redid the Cosby Show, they could recast the character of Bill Cosby, but well, whatever
Well,
his name
again, they
was.
couldn't because he actually
Miss-
owns the character. But
yeah, but my point,
The character mysteriously dies, and they replace him with someone else. The end.
yeah, they don't have the character of Bill Cosby in whatever but it would be like taking a show like that and
Mhm.
throwing all this in and then expecting people to like it again who liked it back in you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I watched the Cosby Show in my teens, I guess it was, and then
Most of us
lame.
did.
Probably in
It was lame
syndication.
then.
Family Matters, and of course I watched I watched a little bit of Family Matters, but I rewatched every episode like a
Let's
year
bring
or
back
so.
Family Matters, but as a white family.
Well, there was
You
sort
know
of,
what? You know
sort
what's
of
kind
that.
of
It was
you
called
know,
Full House.
but you know what's kind of funny about Tim's comment right there? They actually tried to do that with All in the Family, believe it or not. So you guys remember All in the Family, where you had the Bunkers who were a white family, and of course they had black, and you had like Archie, who was probably considered considered a conservative. Mike was the liberal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Stupid meathead.
there was a show. They had a pilot for it, but it didn't go anywhere. But they basically what they did was using the same studio and same locale. They had they actually tried to put a show out. I think it was called 705 Hoover or something like that. I know Mara Tierney was in it. I think where in this case the father was the liberal and the son was the conservative.
Hmm.
A black family, and the black son was married to a Jewish girl, and the kids were the conservatives, and like 705 Hauser is what it was called. They had a pilot for it. It didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it didn't get past a pilot stage. So.
I was going to say the black version of All in the Family would have been the Jeffersons.
It was.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember there were 2 or 3 shows that there were a couple shows that spun off of All in the Family, and then there was a show that spun off of one of those shows. If you think about it, you had let's see, All in the Family spun the show that spun off All in the Family were Maude,
the Jeffersons, and there was another show. I can't think of the name of it.
Maude and the Jeffersons, the ones I can think of too, and then there was actually a show that spun off of Maude, Good Times.
Good Times, yeah.
Good Times spun off Maude. Yeah.
Dynamite!
Hey, did you know they were going to make a TV version of Blazing Saddles that didn't get past the pilot?
I did not know that, but
are you telling me that?
Well,
we lost Terry there.
Terry, no. What'd you do?
Well, hopefully he comes back.
Anyway, Blazing Saddle, they were going to make a TV show about it's called Black Bart.
Well,
no, that time it was me. For some reason, I may have double clicked. Terry, we lost you for a moment there.
I know. But as I was about to say, they're going to turn. They're going to do the Blazing Saddles. What they did to True Lies. They finally turned that into a TV show.
They tried to. It was going to be called Black Bart, and it had a pilot, and it didn't make it past the pilot.
Yeah, I heard about that. The True Lies one. Has anybody seen it?
Not yet.
Terry, your screen just went black.
Racist.
What about, has any of you guys seen? Well, I've watched the first 2 episodes. Have you guys seen the new Night Court?
I saw a little of it.
I won't watch anything.
Okay.
New. I don't watch anything like new like that.
It's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It stars the actress of Bernadette from The Big Bang Theory,
Yeah, I
and
saw it.
Oh, what's the name? What's the name? Can't think of the name.
Melissa something.
It's
Something
actually,
like yeah.
it's actually,
And-
I'm actually, I think actually it looks okay because it's not a redoing, it's a continuation.
No,
yeah.
okay.
She's like the daughter.
The actor. Yeah, she's the daughter of Harry Stone.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
become a judge. And the actor of what's his name?
John Larroquette is now the public defender.
Yeah,
Well, he was. The best part was like she's like I can't imagine still being here at the or it's like a joke where somebody made a joke about somebody still being there after all those years, and that guy.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
behind, he was behind the coffee counter.
Yeah, I think John Larroquette and Richard Mall might be maybe Marky Post as well. Maybe the only regular cast members from Night Court who are still alive.
yeah. I'm not sure how many of them are still alive.
Yeah, Richard Mall has made a career in voice acting.
Yeah, he did. He was Harvey Dent in the
Batman animated series.
Wasn't he also?
He was Scorpion for a while there in the Spider-Man animated series.
Didn't he also have a big part in a movie which was a Loaded Weapon?
Yeah.
He's played a bunch of parts in a bunch of different movies.
Well, he was Quantz. I believe he was Quantz in Highlander.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I think he was in Sidekicks. I think it was.
With Chuck Norris and what's the kid's name? Yeah, he was the
teacher.
Yeah, he was the PE. He was the PE teacher.
I got to take off. You guys have a good night.
Okay.
Well, we're about to wrap up anyway. But Tim, before you go, would you like to do an outro? Would you like to share any links or anything like that before you go?
I got no links to share right at this point in time, but 2024 will Melvin 3 I plan to have on Kickstarter.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Well, have a good night.
Yep. Peace.
All right.
Peace.
All right. So yeah, we're coming up. We're already at hour 52, so we'll probably start to wrap up here in a moment. But Rich. Well, let's see. There was another movie that did get a TV adaptation from what we were talking about earlier.
There's been a bunch of movies.
Dangerous Minds.
Yeah.
Dangerous Minds, and the TV version was starring Annie Potts. So, Reasonable Doubts and
There's been a lot of TV. There's been movies that got TV series and TV series that got movies.
Yeah. Some of the movies didn't translate well to television into TV series.
Yeah.
Well, League of Their Own is another example of that, Terry.
Yeah.
Well, if you want a real example, if you want a real example, Blue Thunder is one of those.
Yeah.
It didn't translate well because they had to add more elements to it to stretch it out.
Yeah. Although I don't think it was the fault of the series, but one series that got big name on TV that didn't do well, in my opinion, translate well. The Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
And the Brady Bunch.
Oh, those didn't translate well in the movies at all because you got to remember this is set up to slowly pull you in.
Yeah. Well, also I think it's just the way that they made them too. The Brady Bunch, obviously, they kept them in, like the 60s or whatever, instead of having it, more modern.
Right.
And of course, the newer Brady Bunch movie where it seemed almost like it was a parody of the original show.
Yeah. That's the one.
Where, they seemed like they were as if they were taken out of the 60s and brought into modern times, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one did, even from my perspective, that one kind of looked stupid.
And then
Chips
the one
was another one. Chips was another one.
I haven't watched the Chips movie.
But don't.
There are just some shows that if you haven't watched them, just go ahead and continue not watching them. Velma is a good example. I haven't
used
watched
to-
Velma. I basically trust what Flash and everybody else has said about it.
Mm,
I haven't even
I
watched
trust what you say about the chips, but I might subject myself to the horror just once.
Yeah.
Just
Anyways,
like
anyways, guys.
if you grew up on that show, it's gonna rub you the wrong way.
well, I remember it as a kid, but I won't say I grew up on it. But there's a channel near us that we get off of the air, digital airwaves, that
Hmm.
Chips runs every day. So I've seen a lot of the episodes now
Yeah.
as an adult.
Mm,
But the other show that, like I said, the Dukes of Hazard, I don't blame it. It probably could have translated well, but the guys that researched it didn't research it well.
didn't really do it well. Because you have to remember, the Duke family were moonshiners.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
Boss
they
Hogg
gave it
was an
up.
ex-moonshiner. Yeah, they
Yeah,
gave it up.
so these guys could,
Right,
so his nephews could, be free, not have to go to
right,
jail.
right.
Yeah, but I doubt if they. I mean, I don't see them bringing Dukes of Hazzard back onto TV too much because of
Uh-uh.
course.
No,
Well,
but
we
we're
all know
talking
that
about when
General Lee is
they,
racist.
Yeah.
How can a car be racist? That's all I want to know.
or a flag, maybe used by idiots, but racist people. But
The thing is, the Confederate battle flag reminds everyone of one thing. Everyone in the United States, that is,
the
you are
Civil War.
allowed to know that you are allowed to disagree with your government.
Yeah,
Mhm. Well,
That
I do remember hearing something back in the early '90s. You had a tag team in WCW comprised of Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers. Originally in WCW, they were called the Southern Boys, and
right,
they were in Confederate garb. But
right,
after a while, they were forced to change the gimmicks to the Young Pistols and claim they were from Cheyenne, Wyoming, because people found the Southern Boy gimmick a little too
yeah,
much.
yeah. The Southern Boy gimmick was the fun part. That was the thing
I
everyone
mean, the
loved about
wrestling
these
style
guys.
didn't really change. They still used a lot of the same moves. They just had to change the gimmick because, well,
Yeah,
you have to remember too. This was, WCW was owned by Ted Turner,
you're right.
who had been considered the SJW of his time period. Granted,
True,
not as bad as
true.
they are today. Not as bad as they are today.
Not today.
Compar-
True.
compa- compared to today, Ted Turner would be
Turner is
considered a conservative.
Ted Turner would no Ted Turner would be considered right wing today.
yeah,
He would
Or a rhino. Or a dino.
yeah. A lot of the
exactly.
a lot of the so-called liberals back in the like 90s, 80s are turning to conservatism today.
I know. It's funny because everyone disagreed with everyone else, but they could come to the table and compromise. Nowadays, if you disagree with them, you're in the wrong. How can you be wrong for
Yeah.
disagreeing with someone?
Well, it depends on
because
what it
because
is,
they're not part of the right thing.
Yeah, you could say the sky is, I don't know, in the middle of the day, pink, and I could say it's blue. You would be wrong.
Right.
That's one way you could disagree and be wrong. Or
I
whatever.
can I can disagree with you, but I can at least come to the table and tell you why.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can tell you why I disagree with you, and then you can look at it
My
and see,
face.
and then you can tell me where I'm wrong. That's that's what's
Hello.
missing. That's what's missing.
Oh, I'm back to. I think I froze for a second or two there.
Mm.
Actually, I gotta go off camera here for a moment. I gotta check something. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, it's just amazing how stupid the world has become, and like we sort of said Saturday, it's going to become
Oh man,
stupider.
don't say that because that's an insult to stupid people.
No, I didn't say stupid people. I just said stupider. Oh,
But it's these are the things that looking back at. I wish the '80s were. I wish I were back in the '80s,
yeah,
back when you can open your mouth, say anything you want, and nobody gave a rat's ass.
yeah. You know, heck, they tried and claim, the racist thing, but you look at shows back in the late 70s, early
Right.
80s, they were having black and white and other types of people in them getting along, being friends.
Yeah, I know.
You look at Facts of Life, Different Strokes, watching The Love Boat,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
all these shows.
Different Strokes is one of my favorite shows growing up. What you talking about,
Yeah.
Willa?
The A Team,
Exactly.
The 80s rocked.
Tell me about
yeah.
it.
And
Yeah,
there's
some of the
probably more
greatest
shows that
cartoons
I
come
don't
out
know
around that
about.
time. We had some of the greatest television come out at that time, and you weren't trying to push narratives in such a way that you were trying to get people to kill each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Heck,
I mean, you guys remember, like, with Filmation, with some of the Filmation stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
Joe, to a lesser degree, you did have a lot of the PSAs too.
Yeah.
Heard some
heck, and
people being
watching
kind of
Well,
critical of G.I.
the
Joe
PSAs
PSAs.
were a mandatory thing for the cartoons because you were pushing toys at the same time.
yeah,
So there had to be some educational aspect.
Right. Right.
yeah. Heck, I'm watching Love Boat, and just a few episodes, they had a trans person on.
Is this a new Love Boat?
No.
No,
Oh,
there was an
In the
episode where
in the '80s, there were several episodes where there were a couple trans people came aboard. Same thing
yeah, but
happened on
even back
Fantasy
in the
Island.
80s, they never made a big, even in the 90s, because I remember there was a couple episodes of Beverly Hills 90210 that featured
Right.
featured what we would call today a trans person, or
Mm-hmm.
I think they were a transvestite or something like that. But
Yeah, that's what they were
yeah,
called.
but in this episode, Gopher's old college buddy came aboard and apparently
Yeah.
had become a woman in between.
Right.
And Gopher at first, is like, because this is just sprung on him,
Right.
after
It
like
was
5 or
shocked.
10 years.
He was shocked about it. That's the whole point. Shoot,
After
Gopher
5 or
had the
10 years
same
of not
reaction
seeing,
that everyone else would have.
yeah,
I remember there was an episode of Picket Fences where something similar happened. Where I don't know if you guys know about what Picket Fences was.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I've seen that whole series.
I haven't seen that in a while, but that was good. That was good because you could take everyday situations and just translate it into an episode of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It just
And the
fits.
episode I'm referring to, of course, is the town coroner, Carter Pike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fell for a woman who was later revealed
real to have been a man first.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she had gone through the surgery.
Transition, right?
Yeah, so
yeah. So it's like a lot of this stuff was there. Some of it a little bit more prevalent than others, but they just, they're people,
Mhm.
be,
they weren't trying to shove it down your
nice
throat
to
and
them.
try to make it to
Right.
where if you weren't that way,
Yeah.
you were
Right.
bad. It's like
And most of these
Although
situations
I
were
must,
explained in such a way that everybody could understand it.
yeah. Although I must admit, in this episode with the Love Boat that I was explaining about, the trans person got upset because Gopher wasn't sort of, seeming comfortable around them at first.
Right.
But like you said, shock. I don't.
You got to wait for the
You're not
shock
sure.
to wear off first.
Yeah,
And that was the funny part about that.
yeah. You got to wait for the shock of something like that
To
wear
wear
off.
off. And then you explain what happened.
Yeah. Or then, the person's going to maybe act a little bit more normal around you at first, because they're so used to being a guy or girl, depending on
Right.
what you were first. That,
Right.
they got to process it.
Exactly.
Well, I think we've had a pretty good set of conversations tonight, guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Well, yeah, we're running a little past the 2-hour mark here, so I think it's a good time to start wrapping up. So before we wrap up, of course, there's one segment I always do, and Rick, you know what it is, right?
This weekend in Niche History!
Right. The weekend version of this day in Niche History segment that I do during the week. I don't know if you've seen too many of these yet, Terry, but I make these also part of it just as a little. So, anyways, without any further ado, let's take a look back at this weekend in Niche history. Well, first thing, we're going to go back to yesterday, the 11th, and we have a couple of things from the 11th, as it were. The first thing, we're going to go back 10 years ago from yesterday, as on yesterday's date 10 years ago, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Bridgestone Arena, Nashville, Tennessee. This was apparently the go-home Raw heading into Elimination Chamber that year. And so the results of the show included in the main event, I saw Kane defeat Dolph Ziggler, at the end of the show. You saw Wade Barrett defeat Kofi Kingston. You had tons of funk. The tag team of Brodus Clay and Tensai. Brodus Clay, who is currently the NWA World Champion Tyrus, and Tensai, who is currently the head trainer at the WWE Performance Center. That tag team defeated the team of Primo and Epico, basically the Colon brothers, sons of Carlos Colon. The Miz defeated Cody Rhodes via DQ. Jack Swagger, who is now going by his real name of Jake Hager in AEW, defeated Zack Ryder, former NWA World Champion Matt Cardona, in a match. You had the team known as the Sword of John Cena, Sheamus, and Ryback defeat the team of 3MB, Heath Slater, who's currently going by simply by Heath in Impact, Drew McIntyre, and Jinder Mahal. And then those are probably some of the matches that had some significance or some notoriety. But anyways, on yesterday's date, 10 years ago, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Bridgestone. Oh, and Tommy's here. Hey, Tommy. Kind of got in a little late tonight, huh?
Yeah, he says he wanted to stop in and say hi, was going to hop in, but got real busy around here this evening because there's this super thing normal people apparently care about.
Yeah, Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. But well, at least thanks for dropping in. If you can, of course, like and share the stream. Maybe people can catch it on the replay. We had some pretty interesting conversations tonight as well. You might want to catch them. Obviously you'll have to catch them on the replay, but I'm sure you might have some things to say about it. But anyways, thanks for popping in, and now we'll get back to this weekend Niche history. Also happening on yesterday's date, 5 years ago, yesterday, 2018. Showtime's adult animated satirical comedy, Our Cartoon President, premiered on yesterday's date, 5 years ago today. Or 5 years ago yesterday, mind you. Now, The cartoon was based on a segment from Stephen Colbert's show. So, without me saying much more, can you guys kind of take a hint, figure out what this show was satirizing?
The Donald Trump presidency.
Yep. That's what it was. Well, it wasn't just Donald Trump, but it was conservatives as a whole.
Mhm.
Donald Trump, Lou Dobbs, Joe Biden, Bill de Blasio, John F. Kennedy, so these are all the. But basically, it was the adult animated satirical comedy, animated series. So, but on yesterday's date, 5 years ago today, our cartoon president, Stephen Colbert being one of the producers, premiered on Showtime. So,
It was a funny show.
oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Was it done by the left or the right? Oh, it had to have been the right because it was funny.
Yeah. You had your centrist and you had your right wingers doing this one.
Actually kind of a left leaner to begin with. So, and on today's date, 20 years ago today, on this date 20 years ago today, the 800th issue of the first volume of Action Comics went on sale. This, Action Comics, of course, started out as an anthology, but by this time, of course, it's now a Superman feature book. And look at all the credits there. 800th issue.
Yeah, because it was
with a 64-page
it was
book.
double. Yeah.
Written by Joseph Kelly. Pencil. Let's see. Art by Duncan. Well, I'm not even going to read all these names, but you get the picture. This is a big deal here. This is a big deal. 800th issue of Action, and this is, of course, from the first volume. This is from the volume that started all the way back in 1938. This is from this point, just shy of 65 years. This is because obviously it would have been from this point about probably about a couple months till it would have been like the 65th anniversary, I would say. But on today's date, 20 years ago today, the 800th issue of Action Comics, Volume 1, went on sale on that date, all that long ago.
Ooh.
So with that, guys, I thank you guys for being here tonight.
Well, thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, okay. So this week before we go, and I'll finish up. Start with Terry and we'll work back around the other way. We'll start with Terry and then Rick, and then I'll finish up. If you guys want to do, an outro.
Well, coming this Saturday, Rick and I, along with Christopher, will be doing our draw along. If I'm not mistaken, it will be on Rick's channel through Discord. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yesterday
people will be able to watch it on YouTube.
I kind of dropped it, trying to see you guys, and it was already done.
People will be able to watch it on YouTube, but people are coming in to draw or drawing through doing it on Discord.
Good.
Yeah. So you done, Mighty?
I'm done.
So I guess I'm next since there's only two of us here.
No.
Besides Mike. Well, thank you to.
No, you're
Mike
not next. You're last. You're last because Mike doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, he counts, but he doesn't. Well, thank you to Mike the Magnificent for allowing us to come on and participate on the show and
turn this house upside down. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Again.
And so, I'm Rick Piper, Cross Comics. You can find me on a whole bunch of social media. Here on YouTube especially. So go subscribe to me on YouTube. I do a thing every Tuesday, a live stream as well, where we talk about whatever. Well, I usually draw something. Other people should draw too, but I don't usually show it.
All right. So
But you can come on and talk for sure.
Yeah, and I've popped in a few times too, and so I know.
Yeah.
All right. So you done, Rick?
Yeah.
All right. Well, on this week on the Mikestand, of course, tomorrow we'll be covering the upcoming week's DC and Marvel releases tomorrow night through CBR. We'll be of course doing our Niche newscast Tuesday through Thursday as well. Looking for articles from CBR or Bounding in the Comics, whatever we can find. And then on this Friday, I will have the Tomoloviches. Chris and Diana Tomolovich will be co-hosting with me. This week, we'll be finishing up our coverage of August of 1939, comics that went on sale in August of 1939, in which we will be going over comics that went on sale from Quality Comics, namely Feature Comics and Smash Comics, and the characters will include, of course, Espionage of Black X, The Clock, Invisible Hood, and we might even do a couple of slice of life characters like Lollapalooza and Dixie Dugan. So hopefully everybody will catch that. And then, of course, Terry, Mighty Geek Studios, will be with me next Friday, the 24th. We start our September of 1939 coverage. We'll be back, looking at stuff from DC. We'll be, of course, concluding the stories. A couple of stories we'll be concluding will be, of course, Batman versus the Vampire, Batman versus Mad Monk story, the original version. The story, of course, that introduced us to Bruce Wayne's first love interest, Julie Madison. Also be concluding the story of the return of the Gora in Tex Johnson in Action Comics as well, among a few others. So I look forward to having you on as a co-host. Terry, if you guys can stick around for just a moment after we wrap up here for just post-show, just real quick, just some stuff. But anyways, well, guys, I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow night and every night that we do this. Hope everybody enjoyed the conversations that we had, and hope everybody knows that you're always welcome to participate. We look forward to seeing what you might have to say in the chat. And I shall, until tomorrow. Bye.
Tomorrow.